Oh, okay. Let's see what's going on. Hi, hello, my name is Patrick. This is the Hierophant. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be more or lessing the Sacral Chakra. And for the Sacral, we're going to use the darker set as the more aligned because it's a very feminine chakra, right? So it's darker. Love it. So let's see what came out. Just to start this off, we have Destiny and Trust. Trust in your destiny, young one. But that will guide the way. Now, I'm using the ring light only today, and she's super bright because I still need to be able to read this book at least. And we'll work it out. So, Destiny is number 9. It's divine purpose, passion, and service. And then Trust is number 42, and that is overcoming doubts, insecurities, and patience. So I'm getting like red vibes, blue vibes here. Red vibes being more root in the destiny. Red also has a really long wavelength, I think. And so it's shorter frequency, and then the blue vibes are more like, I'd say this is more throat than third eye. It's not like a deep indigo. And that's a shorter wavelength but a higher frequency. Now talking about wavelengths and frequency, like girl, I don't know. And also I'm using my webcam mic today, so it has these noise cancellation features where if I stop talking for too long, or something, it'll make this noise. Ice Queen at the bottom of the deck. I love Ice Queen. Y'all can't even see her because it's so bright. Oops. But Trust in Destiny. I love that. Let's see. I rate these all up right. Y'all already know. I'm looking for the Sacral Portal. And we're going to do the more or less thing. And here she is. Right after the throat, or right before the throat portal. Who this? Higher Perspective, number 21. The Cosmos, Awakening and Unity. The Throat Portal is number 34. The Sacral Portal, sorry. Creativity, Intimacy, and Inhibition. I don't think inhibition... Oh, yeah. Inhibition is bad. Because the Natasha Bedingfield, is that her name song? Release your inhibitions. Feel the rain on your lips. No one else can feel it for you. No one else can let it in. Girl, apparently she's singing today. I've been so tired for the past few days, y'all, honestly. But I've been like productive and doing stuff anyway. It hasn't necessarily been that bad. Just like overall tired. But today, I ain't do much of anything. I took today as a rest day. More or less day. And apparently I've been uploading videos. My mom goes live, and my brother's been uploading videos. And so, you know, we was going ham on the internet, and she was like, we about to hit our limit for the month. I said, what? We got a limit? And she said, yeah, but today she took care of it. So, that's why I came on to upload. I went live on my Legacy channel last night. It was fun. I had a bit of a voiceover there. That was cool. And what else? I don't know. We're coming up on this Mayan New Year, and I am so excited. Don't ask me why, but I am. And I already gave these a shuffle before I came on, but we're just going to shuffle up a little bit more. I know that the lighting's been real interesting lately, and the colors, some of them look a little off lately. And what's most important? Ooh, I saw the glisten of that Ten of Cups, though. I saw that. Flower, gleam, and glow. Let your power shine. I want to watch Tangled. Bring back what once was mine. What once was mine. do what has been hurt. Change the fate's design. Okay. So, let's get back into this and see what cards we're going to be looking for. We're going to be doing the major minor court thing again. So for creativity, that would obviously be like an Empress energy. What else is creative? Like an Eight of Pentacles? Not really, but it could be. Let's get or like an Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands could be creativity. Intimacy. No, that could be like the Lovers or a Scorpio card. That would be what, the 5, 6, 7. None of those really fit. I would say Death if Death had anything to do with like. Well, Intimacy could also be the Two of Cups, right? Is there something hot? Because there's also like there's an element of fire, but also an element of water with Intimacy. We may go with the Two of Cups, and then for Inhibition, Eight of Swords. But I would need a major here, so I'm feeling Eight of Swords for, or it could be the Hangman for Inhibition. Even though I don't like that, I'm not typically that flavor of the Hangman over here on this channel, but I could be today. I could be. Yeah. We'll do the Hangman for Inhibition. And then we'll do, so it's going to be the Ace of Wands for creativity. It's going to be the Two of Cups for intimacy. And the Hangman for Inhibition. Right? Inhibited. That means like we are not allowing yourself to do something. Right? I know that's what it means, but I don't know why I'm so confused today. Hey Siri, define inhibition.
Inhibition means a feeling that makes one self-conscious and unable to act in a relaxed and natural way.
See, I don't know if that's necessarily Hangman. I kind of do like the Eight of Swords for that. Or it could be the Hermit. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Hermit instead of the Hangman on inhibition, right? Because that's like a really heady energy. Okay, so first we're gonna be looking for the Ace of Wands, please. Let me give it one more. Actually, we'll look at this and then we'll just shuffle and cut because that's how I usually do this. The cards that came out are: is this the Tower? It is. We got the Tower, the 10, nope, the Tower of the Moon, and the Seven of Swords. Oh. So first is the Tower. With the Tower card, we got roots coming out all over this thing. So there's something ingrown. We've grown too big for our container, and it's time for us to plant ourselves elsewhere. And then we come in with this moon energy. You can see her. Why is she almost giving me Trident vibes? What is that? Have I ever seen the moon card in this deck? It's too bright for me to really make it out. Okay, there we go. There's a third eye. It looks like there's this huge set of wings. They're raining down tears. Or no, are these glaciers? These could be glaciers and they're like melting. Yeah, I think these are glaciers. And they're melting. Because the sun is rising. There's something that lies beneath the ice. Right? It's how they say so and so or something is only the tip of the iceberg. Well, there's something, it's like, Aang, Avatar Aang in this iceberg. There's something in this iceberg that, as this melts, is going to be coming to the surface. Maybe someone's going to be coming out of their shell. Again, it's like someone's grown too big for the container that they put themselves in. And then we have the Seven of Swords. It's basically time for you to stop hiding you. I don't know if y'all can see any of that, But there it is. It's time for you to stop hiding you. It's time for you to get out of your shell. It's time for you to break free. Like a bird, like fly. I might have accidentally put those in reverse. But with that being related to the sacral chakra, with that being related to the seat of our creativity and power, when we limit ourselves, we limit our creativity. We limit the amount of sort of like love that we allow ourselves to experience and the amount of passion that we allow ourselves to act on. And it just congests like everything. Oh, girl. Thank you. He's not trying to have a clean up on aisle 2 situation. Okay. So we're looking for the Ace of Wands. The Wheel of Fortune is the first card down. Love that. So things are definitely changing and turning. And then the Two of Coins comes out after that. I'm not trying to hit these. Oh, girl, what was that? Did y'all see that? Oh, it's the Ten of Swords from the other deck. Just went flying. Okay, am I gonna have all my cards? Goodness. Yeah, there's a Secret Wands with the Lovers. Help, I need somebody. This deck want to have reversal so bad. It's like cards just turn themselves in reverse. Maybe after I finish this series. There's the Ace of Swords. So I put the Ace with the court cards. That's why I got 2 minors. Ace of Cups. We're gonna take it easy today. We're kind of gonna chill a little bit. Oh goodness. Here's nope. That's the Tower. I knew I put them back in reverse. The Tower and the Moon. Here's the Ace of Coins. So the Ace of Wands is going to be the last ace that we see. That's cool. Take your time. There's no rush. We're going to get through the whole deck. Oh, I've been thinking lately, low key, it makes more sense if you go through the major arcana backwards. And it only hit me the other day because somebody was like, well, after the moon comes the sun. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, after the moon should be the star, right? Well, not right, but I feel like there are some that make sense, but in my mind, it's like, the Fool could start with the world, right? You're born into the world, and then you end the journey with the Magician, where you take all the lessons that you've gotten through the major arcana, ending at the Magician, and you create something brand new with it, rather than having the Magician be the very first thing. You know what I mean? It was like, I don't know, something about, at least in some parts, going through it backwards almost makes more sense. Because it'd be the sun, where you're like doing good, then the moon, which is kind of sort of a tower moment, but the star that comes afterward. It's that light in the dark, in the midst of the darkness, that gives you hope, right? And then you would go down to what, the devil after that? And then, no, the tower. And then temperance. No, the tower, and then the devil, then temperance, and then death, then the hangman, justice, the wheel of fortune. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I didn't really give too much thought. Did I overlook this Ace of Wands? I think I did, which means we're getting another shuffle. I don't know when it happened. Goodness. Sometimes I'm like, well, maybe it wasn't next to the card it needed to be next to. And that's why I overlooked it. Because, like, there are no cards on the table right now. 5 of Wands and the 7 of Coins are the first cards out this time. Ace of Wands right here. Okay, cool. Word. Yes, it's work. Alright, work. I just didn't want to, do that thing where the card that I need is there. So now we're going to look for the Ace of Wands over here as well. Ace of Wands. I wish I knew what song that was. Oh, headache. So the Sovereign of Wands is the first card out, which is that Queen of Wands energy, followed by the Six of Cups, and then the Fool. Some of these are in reverse. These decks want to be in reverse so bad. Well, we'll give them what they want in the next go around. The Sun and the Star. The Sun, the Moon. Was that in Timo? Baby, there's a shark in the water. I remember that was the Degrassi song for one of the seasons, and I'll timestamp in the description box when this actually starts. As always, Ace of Cups right behind the Lovers, love that energy, and then behind the Lovers or behind the Ace of Cups is the Nine of Wands, followed by Strength, followed by the Hierophant. If you want it, sometimes you gotta take a chance. You gotta risk it if you want the biscuit, is what they say. Gotta get it. Gotta get going. I'm gonna meet a friend of mine. Pooh Bear, Winnie the Pooh Bear. He's my friend Winnie the Pooh. Ace of Wands, here we go. Now here we go. Okay. Now we're gonna look for the Two of Cups for intimacy. We could do the Two of Wands because they're crossed wands, and I know that's a little specific to certain people and their behind closed doors or on OnlyFans practices. The crossing of the wands being intimacy, but sometimes sometimes it ain't all that. Sometimes it's just the act, and ain't got no love in it. So we're looking for the Two of Cups. Ooh, what was that? Death, Justice, and then the Devil. Two of Swords. I guess the Two of Swords is crossed more often than the Two of Wands are. And, sword fighting is a little more accurate. Maybe. The Anchor and the Pillar and Temperance together. That's the Emperor, the Empress, and Temperance. That's interesting. Let's see what comes out. Shall we? Now, last time I did this, we talked about the root. Next, we're going to be talking about the solar plexus, just to see what comes out. What card? Here's the Four of Wands. The Ace of Swords wanted to slide out right before I was going to lay down the Four of Wands. So there's going to be some element of truth and communication, truthful communication, and also realization. It's like realization that results from communication that leads to some kind of celebration. And then we got the Sun card that wanted to slide out before the Three of Cups. So again, we got to bring light to the situation before we have this reconciliation. And then the Sovereign of Coins almost wanted to come out before the Seven of Wands. Girl, y'all need to be patient. Wait y'all's turn. The Hermit and the World are together. Wow, that's interesting. Have I overlooked? No, you haven't overlooked it. Trust yourself. Oh, this is interesting. We get one. It was literally at the top of the deck, but since I pulled from the bottom, it was on the bottom. So this Two of Cups is very much so on this sacral mind. It's like, yeah, we already know we want that intimacy, but are we open to the intimacy that we crave? Or do we have a twisted, not twisted, but an over prioritization on intimacy when it comes to the sacral and not the other factors that it also encompasses, as far as maybe like the creativity? It's like there's some expression that needs to happen, right? And that could also be the thing with the Ace of Swords, right? Yeah, it's kind of sort of more the Ace of Wands territory if it's less verbal. But I mean, they're both expression, or can be in a certain context, right? The expression of a truth and the expression of oneself. First card. Oh, girl, we was already at the bottom of the deck. LOL. The Ruler of Wands and the title card are the first two. Oh, it works, sis. Okay, let me see that Two of Cups. The Two of Cuppies. What is this? The Two of Wands? No, the Two of Coins in reverse. Oh, that was quick. I was like, what are these? So these are the cards around the Two of Cups. And last but not least, this is the last round. These take so long to set up, but that's fine. I could all do all this like off camera, but I don't mind. And if I do have something to talk about, or if I remember something I was going to say, it gives me time to talk about it. Tell me all about it. Sometimes things that are more expensive are worse. So now we're looking for the Hermit. Justice and Death are the first two cards out. Give me liberty or give me death. I wonder how seriously some people mean that. Right. There was Judgment. Oh, my eyes are like burning. I probably should have more light. I might be straining them in this low light situation. But that's fine. I'll be going to bed soon anyway. Also, I'm probably tired. Oops. Who was that? Conqueror of Coins could not wait his turn. I told y'all he borrowed the horse from the Knight of Wands the other day. And he don't know how to control this horse, so it's like he planting seeds. But are they still together? Yep. The pillar and the anchor are still together. He planting these seeds, but the hooves of the horse are burning them because he ain't got this Knight of Wands, this horse under control. That's what happens when a Knight of Coins tries to be something that it isn't. It burns things. or something else. That's what happened when any knight. That's what happens when any knight tries to take the horse of another knight. They sort of. It's weird. Things get weird. There's the Hermit. The Hermit. So bottom of the deck is going to be the Six of Coins. Give and take. And this is the lesser line side, so it's interesting that the Six of Coins came up. Let's see if we can get her in there somewhere. Y'all can kind of sort of see the details. I'm not going to overly obsess. I feel like that modification is about to happen. I feel like I'm about to know exactly what's going on. So I know what direction I'm about to move my life in instead of just like, I don't know. But also, I don't know, the more days pass, the more time ticks, the more I'm just like, this vacation money is about to turn into getaway fund, one way ticket money. Shoot. I'm ready to move. And it's like I'm ready to experience the excitement of like living in a new place or something. I don't know. Ace of Swords is the first card out, followed by the Nine of Cups. So again, it's like this communication will bring us what we want. Y'all can y'all even see any of that? That just looked like two black. Yeah. Oh well. There we go. Maybe somewhere in there. There we go. Somewhere in there. And again, it's interesting that I keep feeling the Ace of Swords as communication. But it's almost like it almost feels like you have a piece of the puzzle and someone else has the piece of the puzzle. And in talking about it, it leads to clarity and understanding on both sides. Also, I finally reached out to my girl, and it's interesting because I've dreamed of so many classmates and I've never dreamed of her. But she's the one who was most like on this journey, and she's like, "Girl, I just ordered a book on the Akashic records and all of this stuff, and I am so excited." I'm like, "What you mean? Like I've known someone like personally, like IRL, who is into this stuff? Where you been?" And she was like, "My sister got me into like this stuff like a year ago." I was like, "Oh my gosh, like same 2019." And we're both gonna be hitting our Saturn returns at about the same time. She an old classmate, so we's the same age. I'm actually older than her, which I'm surprised about because a lot of my classmates I was younger than. I went from being the youngest, K through 12, to being the oldest when I went to college. And it was very interesting. Not that it actually like made a difference or anything really, but it was just interesting, you know. Okay. Here she is. I'm like, where is she? And here is the Hermit. Wait. Oh no, that was a card before. Alright. So we got the cards. The bottom of the deck over here. Oops, I think I hit that. The bottom of the deck over here is going to be the Tower. So we got the Tower on the more aligned side. Interesting. Let me get this timestamp real quick, and I'll just comment it so I can see it later. We'll say 27 something something. We'll just say 28 minutes to be fair. Boom, there we go. Hi, if you're joining me here, this is so awkward when I've already been recording for 28 minutes, but if you're joining me here, hi, hello, welcome. You probably found this in the description box, so, that's cool. Or maybe I put it down in the comments. That's also cool. So what we're looking at today is the sacral portal, the sacral chakra. And just like with the divine feminine into the divine masculine, and starting with the root chakra, we're looking at a lesser aligned energy and a more aligned energy. Now, it seems like sometimes the lesser aligned energy feels like, seems like, looks like, tastes like, sounds like something that we are sort of, I don't want to say conditioned, but that we've been trained to believe is more aligned. But in reality, it kind of sort of isn't. Or it was for the time that we were in, but now that we're coming into a new time, into a lighter, brighter time, it's going to be slightly different or majorly different. And we have to ebb and flow with the energy. We can't stay stuck or stagnant because then, it'll pass us over. It'll pass us by. Energy is ever in motion. Everything is ever in motion. So the light side is the lesser aligned. The dark side is the more aligned this time. And we're going to get into it by reading the entry for the solar plexus. At the bottom of the dark deck is the Tower card. At the bottom of the light deck is the Six of Pentacles, which is interesting. A lot of these are interesting when they come out because it's like I have to, like, it's not about forcing it, but it's like Why would this energy be lesser aligned, right? So I literally just put an icebreaker in my mouth. So now I'm like extra salivating, but I'll do my best. Here's the sacral portal. She's gorgeous. Her colors are a little off, but that's fine. She's honestly giving me like solar vibes, kind of, because she's an explosion. Oh, she's that like that blossoming flower. Okay, gotcha. She's that girl. So this was a mistake to put this in my mouth right before. Give me 1 second. All right. I'm still salivating like crazy, but we'll get into it. This is creativity, intimacy, and inhibition. I never read this. So the image connected with um, orange carnelian color ray. So it's the orange carnelian color ray. I never read the color rays, but this one is orange carnelian. If either of those mean anything to you. So the celestial interpretation is creative power is intertwined with harmoniously uniting. Wait, what? Creative power is intertwined with harmoniously uniting all living beings? What? Creative power is intertwined. Oh, okay. I get it now. I read that. I'm like, wait. Creative power is intertwined with harmoniously living and uniting with all living beings. So that means that means they're connected, right? Creativity and living harmoniously with others is connected. Okay, gotcha. I don't know why that confused me so. Our creative sacral chakra allows us to manifest and create, honor harmonious relationships, and allows us to let go, quote unquote. It requires great trust, and that came out before. Trust and destiny came out. I think it was trust and not truth. I'm pretty sure it was trust and destiny. It requires great trust in order to co create with other beings, and the health of this portal can affect how trusting we are toward others and how easily we honor our own creative spirits. The oracle interpretation here is whether your situation involves a relationship, creative project, or a business partnership, how is your expression flowing in these areas? How is your expression flowing in these areas? Are you feeling inhibited or restrained? Or are you too overbearing? Be honest. Is your creative spirit locked away, secretly seeking expression? Your creativity and sensuality desire discovery. If you have been holding back, now is the time to step forth and allow your expression to unfold. You are a kaleidoscope of beauty. The companion crystals here are orange carnelian and amber. That's interesting. The companion essential oils are orange or tangerine. So more orange, girl. I love citrus smells though. Not a huge fan of non-orange citruses. I guess lemons are alright. Is grapefruit a citrus? Yeah. Grapefruit is citrus. I don't really like grapefruit, or lime. I can't stand the taste of lime. Lime to me tastes like dish. It tastes like detergent or something. It may be the smell. It may have been all the pine sol that I was not even heavily exposed to growing up. But lime just it smells and it tastes like detergent to me. Okay, so let's get into this on this side. So first we have creativity, and for creativity, I pulled the Ace of Wands. This is interesting. We have the Chariot and the Nine of Coins. So first is the Chariot. You can kind of see her. Gorgeous, lovely, love it. Next is the Nine of Coins. can't. Well, maybe you can. Yeah, you can kind of sort of see her in there. Now it's interesting because the Nine of Coins is one of the few coins cards that I know where every single coin holds a crystal in it. So it's all about the money, 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 and then you have the Chariot, and that's the thing. I feel like this is the energy of a passion project that's turned into a business. And when we need it to survive, it puts a different spin on the energy, right? Or when we get burnout, like when we overdo it, there's either an energy of overdoing it or underdoing it, right? And it's either overdone or underdone. Now, again, with the Nine of Pentacles, I'm getting it as a sense of like us sort of needing it as a source of our livelihood, right? And it's not that that's necessarily bad, but it does strain things in some ways. And so it's easier to, it's like a gateway to lack mentality almost, especially if this is something that we're doing independently. Also, it's like if you want to continue to enjoy something, you probably shouldn't do it for work. It's giving me the vibes of like a chef who, when they're not on the clock, they don't like to cook. Now, that may not be a great example because I feel like a lot of chefs actually like to cook, but it's giving me the energy of someone who doesn't like. It's like if you work at Domino's, you probably aren't going to eat their pizza. If you, and that's another thing. It's like some people don't eat where they work, and then that to me brings a lot of things into question. Like you ain't even gonna eat where you work, so what's it really like back there? Like, because if you work there, you know what's up. And if you like, I ain't eating that food, then to me that says like something up. But anyway, it's interesting that we got the sacral here, but it's like someone is trying to mix business and pleasure, and it may not necessarily be working anymore. I think with the Chariot card, there could have been a time where it really took off, but for some reason, again, it's like straining the creativity. Maybe there's something that you need to do to remix it, um, inject some creativity into it, maybe get re-inspired. Um, what else did this say? Where did the book go? Well, if I didn't put the book down, oh, it's right here. It says something about trust, co-creative, harmoniously living with others, being the way forward. And so, okay, all right. So also with this, you could be coming into a creative block because let's say that there is something or someone that you really want to work with, but for some reason you don't want to, it's like you want to cooperate, or maybe you're being guided to cooperate with someone else to move forward. Take this part as it resonates. Either you're being guided to cooperate with someone else to move forward, or you're being guided to kind of sort of like step up. It's almost, I mean, with the Nine of Pentacles and the Chariot, I would be tempted to say it's the step up energy. But since this card specifically said that living harmoniously with others is intertwined with creativity, then I would say this is about you kind of sort of putting this Nine of Pentacles completely like I got this, I got that, I got all this. Maybe spreading yourself a little thin or not being able to address everything kind of sort of coming at you and needing to kind of sort of lighten the load a bit, right? And that's the thing about the Chariot too, is that like you get two horses yoked or whatever, reined or whatever to this chariot, right? And so just like Santa Claus got like 8 reindeer on his sled, if Santa was doing all the delivering himself, it would take him forever. He wouldn't be able to do it in one night. If Santa only had 2 reindeer, he'd probably run into the same thing because he wouldn't be able to carry as many presents at once because he's only got 2 reindeer to pull the sleigh, and so he would keep having to go back to like the North Pole to swap out bags, right? And it's like it's already a big job. Utilize your resources more effectively. Don't spread yourself so thin. and bring some joy back into this, right? Because like this is a Cancerian energy, so therefore there's a little bit of water here. But this is like super earthy when it comes to the sacral. I feel like it should be more water or fire or even air when it's balanced. I feel like it's not the sacral's job to worry about the practicality or the feasibility of something. It's the sacral's job to dream big. And with this Nine of Pentacles, this earth energy, and this chariot kind of sort of coming together and working together, it's like that's another thing that's kind of sort of holding you back, right? When you limit your creativity at the source, it's like restricting the flow of all that could be. Whereas if you sort of figure it out on the back end, if you don't limit yourself up front, that's where ingenuity comes in. That's where breakthroughs and trailblazing comes in, where you find new ways of combining things to get something to work out the way you wanted, right? Instead of telling yourself at the jump that it's not going to work. So there's a lot here that's kind of sort of unaligned, but any of that could resonate. Now let's see what more aligned sacral energy looks like. We got the Five of Coins, which is interesting, and the Conqueror of Wands. Okay, so this is kind of sort of, let's see if we can get these in here. There we go. You can kind of see the five. Oh yes, the Five of Coins. These are the hands that we're grasping on too tightly, but as soon as they let go, it opens up all of these coins to kind of sort of like fall down, rain down. There you go. You can kind of see it. And then we also have the Conqueror of Wands, which I feel like is that energy. Maybe we can get it in there. There we go. This is where the light is over here. So, one of these days, one of these will be thought out. I mean, the cards are dark regardless, but I do love them. So it's like over here, it's letting go of the restrictions that we've built up over here. And it's interesting because we have a card of Pentacles and then we have a card of movement. Now over here is the Chariot, over here is the Knight of Wands. But I feel like the last point that I made is what's sticking out the most to me. It's like if you sort of limit yourself at the jump, you're not going to get all that you could out of this. And that's what I think the Five of Pentacles is saying, especially in this deck where the hands are being depicted open and now everything is falling out. It's like when you're in that Four of Pentacles state. Okay, so this is a different take on the Four to the Five of Pentacles. So before, the Four of Pentacles was super like uh, reclusive and to isolated, reclusive and isolated. But with this Five of Coins coming after that Four of Coins, it's like you let it go. And since you let it go, everything, it's like you release everything to flow, right? And then the Six of Pentacles after this five would be you get so much flow, you can give some to somebody else. Instead of this Pentacles being like a left out in the cold Five of Pentacles because you didn't say anything at the Four of Pentacles, right? It's like the traditional Five of Pentacles is you not asking for help when you need help. This Five of Pentacles is you utilizing all of your resources, everything at your disposal in order to make something happen with this Conqueror of Wands. Because it's all about the drive, it's all about making it happen. And with this energy over here, it's like it's making the most out of this stuck situation, right? It's like this Nine of Pentacles is kind of sort of giving me a quicksand where the more you try to move, the more you kind of sort of fall into it because there's so much rigidity here with the Nine of Pentacles. And with the five being a number of change, it opens up many roads and many doorways. And this knight, this Conqueror of Wands energy is going to explore them, right? With the Nine of Wands, that's about completion. Where do you move after you've already completed the cycle? And I feel like that may be some of the sort of stuckness that this could be feeling. And again, it's about dreaming bigger and utilizing all resources at your disposal. It's about harmoniously, and it's also about coming into an element of harmony rather than competition or something else. Because I feel like in that space of competition, we take a different mindset as well, right? We also limit our creativity in that sense because it's like, okay, well, I really like this idea, but is it going to sell? Is it going to compete? Like, is this something that we can take to market? Like, does it make sense to do this? And again, at the sacral portal, this shouldn't be a does it make sense to do this question. In my mind, at least. In my mind, it's like the sacral portal is dream as big as you can. With the solar plexus, try to make it work. And like when it comes to the solar plexus, I feel like that's actually about carrying it out, carrying it through. When it comes to the sacral, it's more about sort of the concept itself. And you may say, oh, it's really smart if you go into the sacral knowing what works and knowing what doesn't work. And true, but it's also very limiting. And it's like, what's that? It's a thing where it's like it's so backed up that it starts to like flow backwards or something. Like that's what that would be doing. Because now you're mixing that solar plexus energy in here with the sacral. And it's not that that isn't effective again, but it's like you lose out on a bit of the creativity and harmony. And the um what's the opposite of inhibition? Let's ask Siri. Hey Siri, what is the antonym of inhibition?
Okay. I found this on the web for what is the antonym of inhibition.
Like
Check it
it
out.
wouldn't be like prohibition, right? Somebody? Anybody? Synonyms and antonyms. Here are the synonyms. We look for antonyms, please. Near antonyms for inhibition are self abandonment, uninhibitedness. Okay, yeah, uninhibited. That makes sense. So instead of inhibition, it's uninhibited. And that's what this energy is. Because again, with this Five of Pentacles, it's released all of its inhibitions. And with this Knight of Wands, it's about going after it. Because again, this gives the sacral more to work with than, or yeah, no, this gives the solar plexus more to work with than this energy, right? So next is intimacy. When it comes to intimacy, the only card we have over here is the Four of Swords. So somebody over here is dry, they dead, they dusty, and it may be because of a lack of harmony within oneself that one can't really find the intimacy outside of themselves, no matter how much they crave it. And this can come from a messed up root as well, right? It's like this imbalance here could be inherited from an imbalanced root chakra. And an imbalanced root chakra, and you seeing something fundamentally wrong or flawed with yourself, or just simply not being like an integrated self in that root, or it's like a lack of clarity, or there's some cloudiness, some murkiness somewhere that is also affecting you at the sacral. And so it's affecting your ability to genuinely, authentically, completely connect with others, even if it's something that you really desire. Um, and it seems that with the Four of Swords, it's been this way for a long time, right? That's what I'm getting with the clock. And it's almost like someone maybe waiting for like the divine to send them a person who will do this or do that, but you attract what you put out. And there are certain things that if you don't really address it, or like if you're not aware, then you wouldn't even know that you're putting out something. Also, if you want intimacy, sometimes you have to be a little bold. You have to be a little brave. You got to be a little daring. You sometimes you got to throw caution to the wind and just go with the flow or go with it, right? And with this Four of Swords, it's like that's not happening. Because again, it's like if you withhold from yourself, and if you withhold from other people, then that's what you're going to attract. You're going to attract people who withhold from you and attract people who withhold from themselves, and that can lead to some like trauma bonding type of situations and scenarios. Whereas over here, with more healthy or more integrated energy, we have the Two of Coins, which is balanced, and the Nine of Coins, which we just saw up here, which is interesting. But with the Nine of Coins and the Two of Coins, that to me is telling me that when you're solid within yourself, you're also going to attract people who are solid within themselves. Now you can see the Nine of Coins. So let's try this. Which one is this? Let's see. This may be the two. Girl. Girl. There we go. Maybe. Maybe. Come on, come on. See, now there's too much light. Now there's not enough light. It's so sad. Yeah, I really should have positioned the light. I'll do it better next time. But we have the 2 of coins and the 9 of coins, and together that's an 11. And an 11 is perfect because with the 10, that it gives a completion into in outer space, right? 11 is a double digit number. And so it kind of sort of involves another, right? It's outside of just us. We've reached this completion and this self worth and this wholeness within ourselves when it comes to um, harmoniously living with ourselves. And with this too, again, it's like once we have this internal balance, we can find someone else that has the same or a similar balance that leads to actual physical experiences that leave us feeling fulfilled and satisfied. And it comes with a certain element of closeness and also a sort of stability here with this being so earth heavy. And earth is a feminine element, right? And this is the sacral chakra, so it's not all bad. It isn't fiery or like necessarily watery, but again, with that 11, it's about being balanced within oneself and coming into balance with someone else who is also balanced within themselves. And the thing about balance is sometimes it is juggling, right? It's not necessarily always, it's not monotone, it's not flatlined, um, but it can sort of correct for itself at the same time, if that makes any sense, right? So it's not that, you got to go through life being super dull and super boring and never experience any like thrill or spike in emotion or whatever. But it's about, again, being able to play that balance within oneself and being whole and healed and integrated within oneself, being stable within oneself so that, it could be a sort of um, like a symbiotic relationship with someone else. And you won't have one person kind of sort of pulling on another more than they give. And the way that we ask for things and the way that we give things, like it can happen in so many different ways and in so many different aspects. So it isn't always necessarily fair to do a like an apple for an apple type of exchange, right? Sometimes you trade an apple for an orange, or an apple for a bushel or a bunch of grapes, or a candy bar for 5 things of broccoli or whatever. It looks different, but it's the key here is about being solid within oneself. And that's something that with this 4 of Swords over here, maybe someone is healing into that space, but honestly it feels like they're just not wanting to. The 4 of Swords comes after the 3, and so it's like someone is in that mode of not fully letting their past go, not fully letting the heartache go, to the point where they will do anything to prevent it from repeating itself. But it closes them off from the beauty of life and it restricts their ability to feel any sort of intimacy because they're always reserved and always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Now, coming into inhibition, we're going to be ending this with the Sovereign of Coins, which is the Queen of Coins and the World card. This is very interesting energy because I think we saw the Sovereign of Coins in a lesser aligned place recently as well. Oh, that was on my Legacy channel last night. The Sovereign of Coins came out, and then the Knight of Coins came out right after it. And before the Sovereign of Coins, it might have actually been the World card. It might not have been the World card. I can't remember. Um, but basically, the thing was that there was a time of expansion. No, it was the Star. I think it was the Tooth Fairy. I'm pretty sure it was the Tooth Fairy. And then the Queen of Coins, and then the Knight of Coins. And I was like, in order for you to get your wish, there are certain things, aka whatever this is, that you have to let go in order to open yourself up to expansion. Because when it comes to stars, when it comes to going to source, miracles, some things that we manifest, it's like we're asking for things that we feel are outside of our ability to make happen for ourselves. or we're asking for something sometimes that we've never had or experienced before. And when we do that, it requires us to do things that we didn't do before. And with the queen energy and even with the king energy, right, we're going back to like pages 2.0 or court energy 2.0, or we can call it 5.0 since we're going to the 5D or whatever. But with court energy 1.0, it's like maybe that worked in an old system, it worked in an old paradigm, it worked when everything was denser. But now that things are getting lighter, now that we're kind of sort of asking, and with this world card, it is an element of completion, right? Now that we're moving into new cycles, there are certain old things that need to be let go of. Old fears, old worries, old patterns that we would repeat, old coping mechanisms and survival tactics that we had to adopt because of the old patterns that would repeat, right? Ways that we've learned to be in order to guard and protect our hearts. But again, with the sacral, if it makes us invulnerable, we're not going to be able to come into this energy as it's supposed to be. And I feel like with this Queen of Coins, it's like I feel like maybe we really, really found a footing, or we really found something that we thought gave us some sort of stability in the old world. But in reality, coming into the new one, we're going to be realizing how many ways that energy kind of sort of kept us limited and bottlenecked and kept at a certain spot. Where again, it's kind of sort of like we reach the limit of everything that we can do as we were, and then we start to ask for something beyond that. And to enter into the beyond, you got to leave some things behind, right? It's like if you got 15 sandbags tied to your hot air balloon and you want to rise, you're going to have to drop a few of those sandbags. You're going to have to lighten the load a little bit. And then that's going to be what unblocks this creativity, this intimacy, and the harmony that you experience with others. Now, coming over here to inhibition, we have the Nine of Swords, another nine, and the Eight of Wands, which is interesting. So this energy is very interesting, and I love this energy. Oh wait, I almost had it. There we go. There. Oh, girl. There she goes, and there he goes. I was just too close to the camera. I love this energy because it feels like the same as this. These inhibitions are the same, but the only difference is this person who's at this Nine of Swords sort of anxiety, worry, fear, stuck. With the Eight of Wands, they're going to move forward anyway. They're going to have enough trust and faith in the process and themselves and in their creator that, they wouldn't sort of bring them into these spaces that they weren't yet ready for. So that even if they don't feel ready when they enter these spaces anyway, it's like they grow on the go. But over here, it's too rooted and set within its own foundation. That even when these cycles are over, even when these cycles close, this queen would continue to act and behave as if they weren't. But over here with the Nine of Swords and the Eight of Wands, this is somebody moving forward regardless. And because they move forward regardless, they're open to more of what life has to offer. What life has to offer and the enjoyment of that can also be linked to the sacral, right? And yeah, so that's what this is. This is more and less integrated energy. We're gonna pull a final oracle card, even though I opened with two, and then we're gonna get a final of these cards as well as I shut this down. I'm getting a little hungry, but it's also time for me to go to bed, y'all. So probably won't be eating at least too heavy before I go to sleep because I always regret it. And there we go. Ooh, okay, well, there's another one. What's that? Is that breakthrough? No, that's not breakthrough. Well, here's breakthrough. I love that. I love that. I was like, is this breakthrough? No, that's not breakthrough. And then breakthrough comes out. This card is contemplation, which is number 7, and then breakthrough. So this is another 11. Contemplation is silence, knowing, and releasing control. Breakthrough is leap of faith, freedom, and new beginnings. And this is exactly what this energy over here is. This is a breakthrough energy, and this is a contemplation energy. But this space of contemplation keeps you stuck, whereas this breakthrough is going to get what it's going to be what moves you forward. And again, it's that leap of faith where with this Nine of Swords, even if you don't necessarily think it's going to work out, it's about taking that leap anyway and allowing the universe to catch you, because you'll be surprised, and then you'll start to fly at a certain point once you take enough leaps. And I think we got a little Buddha head in this too. A little Buddha head, a little North Star energy maybe. That could be like the light of Venus, because sometimes when Venus is showing, it's that super star in the sky. It could be anything. Is that a little fairy up here too? Or is that a little tower? I don't know what that is. There's something that, it may be like some sort of kingdom behind the clouds or something. And then breakthrough is actually getting there. So the 7 is the chariot and the 4 is the emperor. So with breakthrough being the energy of the emperor, also the energy of death, also I think that's it. 4 and 13, because there's no 22. Yeah. So this is the emperor and death. It's about transformation and not control, but exercising. It's like having a commanding presence, right? Because the emperor may not necessarily always know everything, but as long as he's doing his best and as long as he's listening to his wise counsel, then that's the best he can do, right? Because when you're in the moment, when you're facing a challenge, you don't necessarily always have the luxury of going, "Oh, I don't know how to face this. I don't know what to do." I don't. Sometimes you just got to make the wisest choice that you can and just go for it, and then be open to learning along the way, be open to being flexible and adaptable. And if this is a warrior emperor, if this is an emperor that's experienced battle, then I feel like he's going to have the ability to adapt on the fly. If this is an emperor who's kind of sort of hidden away his whole life and never really rose to anything, well, now is going to be the time for him to learn. And again, it's going to lead to so much transformation within the self that brings one closer and closer to his, and I'm saying his because it's the emperor energy, that divine masculine energy. But we all have divine masculine and divine feminine in us. Some of us identify and align more strongly one way than another. Um, but like that's when he comes closer and closer to his true power. And then over here, this is a 7. The 7 is the chariot. It's also the tower. And so the thing about the chariot and the tower energy is you got to be willing to move in order to really have that energy be all that it can be. You need to move, right? You got the chariot, which is all about movement, and then you got the tower, which is about evacuation or moving on or letting something go. And we do have releasing control on here as sort of the way out of this energy, but we also have silence and knowing, right? And it's about knowing when to go. But if with this energy again, it's like if you are too fixated on your knowing, that you don't allow yourself to grow and you don't allow your body of knowledge and wisdom to expand, then you're very susceptible to coming across things that you can't account for, accommodate for, or get through. Because it's like, well, I know everything and I don't know how to solve this, so I'm just going to sit here and, I don't know, do nothing. Again, like with that emperor energy, it's like when you're down there, sometimes you just got to know how to adapt on the fly, or make the best decision that you can in that moment and continue. And if you get the opportunity to correct it, correct it. It also involves a certain element of humility. And again, it involves that trust. But I don't know. For some reason, that contemplation is feeling really stagnant. And stagnancy is not going to help moving forward. There are breakthroughs to be had. Okay. Let's get the final card from over here. Oh, that was quick. Who this? Is this the 8? Yup, it's the 8 of Cups. The 8 of Cups with the Chariot again at the bottom of the deck. This is like Just let it go, bruh. Just let it go. I'm actually gonna read it in the book. Give me one moment, please. And like that's another like I don't like that I feel like I sometimes come off as like dry and blunt or uncaring as I do, but at the same time it's almost like we're in this space. We're in this time where it's like we don't I don't want to say we don't have time to hold hands, but it's kind of sort of we don't have time to hold hands. You know, no one is perfect and no one is on it all the time, but at some point you eventually got to pick yourself up and get back to it. And there's just so much going on in the world that I don't know. There are certain things that it's like we're all going through our own thing right now. A lot of us are going through our own thing right now, and that's not anything new, right? In life, people are always going through their own things, but in this time of really coming into something brand new, and in this time of uncertainty, and in this time where there's so much growth and so much other stuff to be had, it's not every man for himself, but at the end of the day, sometimes we got to be responsible for ourselves. And it's less helpful to not hold each other accountable, I guess. Because then it's like if after everything blows over, if some folks aren't where they think they should be, and then they start looking at people who are like, well, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? It's like, girl, I don't know. You know, the Eight of Cups is abandonment and walking away. This card indicates a loss, but with a promising future. Most likely, this loss has come from a choice of yours. You have realized that while you have to say goodbye to a lot, it is still better to walk away than to stay. It may also mean that despite accomplishing everything you wanted, you are not as fulfilled as you thought you would be. You have realized you need to change directions to find that peace, so you are headed for the unknown, but you are confident you will be able to make it work. If you have already made this decision, the tarot is acknowledging that this is the right move. If you have been in a space of, what do I do? You are being encouraged to embrace the unknown and the path you know you need to take deep down. And that's another thing. I feel like there are many sort of hidden paths and exits and other things kind of sort of being brought to our awareness right now, whether regardless of whether we know it or not. It could be something as sort of inconspicuous as having a feeling that maybe you need to look into something or you need to reach out to somebody or it's like go here today, go there today, start getting into this, watch this, go there, and it could be something that it's like the first step on a new journey. And it's one it could come in a way that we never expected. And again, it's almost not again, but it's almost a thing about timing, right? Where it's like it wasn't yet time for these sort of hidden paths to be explored or these escapes or whatever, because there was a moment of learning that was happening, or there were things that you needed to see, pieces and parts of the illusion that you needed to cut through before you could find your way out. And it's almost like some of these ways out are the most heavily shrouded in illusion, right? But it speaks to the tenacity and the sort of mental, spiritual, emotional fortitude that one needs to have in order to really make it down these paths. And it's interesting that this comes out on the sacral, but I guess it kind of sort of isn't because the sacral is the heart of the Kundalini energy. And the Kundalini rises all the way to the crown where it comes out. I think it was this one. It might have actually been a few. Girl, is this the same card? It is. The Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups came out on both. And that's interesting because I was like, well, this Eight of Cups almost sounds like it would be more aligned, judging based on, the storylines that we had going. So the Eight of Cups is the advice on both sides, and I actually like this because it goes back to the whole mask thing, and I think I talked a little bit more about it on my Legacy channel, interestingly enough. But it's like sometimes we look at what the darker and lower forces want us to do, and we know that we're not supposed to do that, and so we rebel against that. But we don't always stop and really ask ourselves what the light would have us do, rather than not do what the dark says, right? Because it seems like, especially nowadays, that there are times when the action may end up looking the same, but the motivation could be completely different. But if we don't take the perspective of trying to look at both sides, or at least trying to look at what the light would actually have us do, then we can be completely lost to that, right? But yeah, it's just interesting that they both came out with the Eight of Cups. Now, the bottom of the deck over here, though, is the Conqueror of Wands instead of that Chariot. So it's also interesting that the two movement energies that we saw at the top are what are also coming out. And I guess one of the things that I didn't pick up on about the Chariot earlier is about the Knight of Wands, the Conqueror of Wands, sorry, earlier, is that it is the Conqueror of Wands. It's the Knight of Wands when it comes to sacral energy, which is all about going with our desires and moving on them and not limiting and restricting them and going full force, charging full steam ahead, right? Especially when we know that things are ours. And it's not to have any kind of sort of entitlement or control over something. But when you know that something is yours, or that something will be yours, it puts you in a space to have less doubt. And when you have less doubt, right? Like, let's say that you know something is yours. So if something is yours, that means that no matter how long you take to get there, it's always going to be there for you. And I say that because there's so much healing and so many other things that's going on. And so, again, it's like, if you don't believe it's yours, then you may try to rush yourself through a healing process. Or there may be certain things that you just completely overlook or that you ignore because it's like, well, if I don't hurry up or if I spend too much time, then I'm going to miss out on something. And what's being asked to most of us right now is that healing, is that growth, but also is the courage, is the bravery, is the strength, is the going through with everything, is that the throughput? It might be the throughput. Throughput might be the word I want. It might not be. But it's that. It's following through with the action. That's also being looked at right now. Because it speaks to your ability, our ability to be guided, and our trust at the same time. And again, it's about connecting to multiple perspectives and multiple sides and not just sort of thinking through something halfway. Now, the thinking through something halfway is more so with the Eight of Cups, right? And another interesting thing, and I've talked about it before, it was like a few months ago for me, there was a time when I was feeling hurt and I went through a whole gamut of emotion, confusion, hurt, anger, more confusion, some sadness, which led to more confusion. And that's when I was like, all right, Shadow Side, it's time for you to come in and cut this off because I'm tired of this cocktail of emotion. And Shadow was like, nah, bruh. I was like, what? And Shadow was like, yeah, you heard me. I said, no. I said, no, I'm standing with the light this time, and we both want the same thing. For us and for you, because, that's how it works. And Shadow to me was like, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to do this without me. And it was interesting for me because I had kind of sort of mentally always had this sort of dichotomy that the shadow would always make the choice or push me to what doesn't grow me, and the light would push me towards what does grow me. But my shadow was basically telling me that, like, light and shadow within me were on the same page. So if I made a choice to act outside of that alignment, that would be a conscious choice completely within me. And again, for me, that was interesting because I'm like, wait, like, isn't shadow what does this? But my shadow was like, no. And I only bring it up because, again, now I feel like the light and the shadow are kind of sort of directing us in similar directions, but for very, very different reasons, right? It's like one of them may be rooted more so in fear and stuff like that would cause us to do certain things, but then the other one is rooted in compassion. It's rooted in stepping outside of being self absorbed and self serving, and it's stepping into caring about others enough to the point where you allow yourself to be at least minorly inconvenienced. And again, I talked about all this yesterday, but it asks us, the light asks us, what are we willing to do for each other? What are we willing to sacrifice? And how big of a sacrifice are we willing to make? Because if we're not willing to make any sacrifices for the greater good or for someone else, then it may limit our ability to it may limit what we find ourselves, the space that we find ourselves in later on. And it's interesting because I said our shadow holds the capacity. It's like our shadow is the vessel for the light that we carry. Um, and I was going somewhere with that, but I completely just like slipped my mind. Um, but yeah, and I don't know, it bewilders me and it amazes me and it confuses me that I don't want to say there would be still people who are confused or people who would say certain things, but right, the whole like wearing a mask and taking a selfie with a mask on is you giving your power away, girl. That it blew my mind. And then like this person has a platform, of course, and so to see all the comments of all the people who agree, and it's like I'm not necessarily I know I never play the role of judge, jury, or executioner, but it's like if I were on a jury and I saw this, it's like literally we're asking you to wear a mask when you're around other people, especially. At this point, it's like that's all we're asking you to do. And you're putting up this much of a fuss. Then it's like, I don't know. It's like if you can't care enough, if you can't think outside of yourself enough for this one, and again, for some people it actually is a big deal, but for seemingly most people it's not, besides the fact that they don't want to wear it. Hold up. I think that was my little brother. 1 second. I'm gonna wrap this up here pretty soon. But yeah, it would be like your heart has been found wanting. You couldn't give up this minor inconvenience in consideration for the other people, which is literally what the masks are all about, right? That's what they say. It's like, we wear masks to keep ourselves from infecting others. So you're telling me that you'd rather infect others and negatively impact their lives rather than be minorly inconvenienced. We've looked at your heart and you can tell wanting. It's like you're coming into 5D with that mentality. Like, no, thank you. Like, no, thanks. We don't want that. We don't need that because if something were to happen where we need people to like stand up or step up for somebody else, I don't know if we'd be able to count on you to do that. But again, who am I? These are just the things that I think about, right? And it's like if that is the perspective of the light, which I could see it being, then it's like how would I act? I don't know. It's about us. And again, there are a lot of people down here who identify as indigos and who are in that indigo energy of just like rebelling against everything because that's what was needed at the time to get us to this point. But in my mind, it's like if the world is ever to improve, and it is, when a lot of the issues that we have now and we face now are resolved, and they will be, you're not going to need to rebel against everything, right? I don't think government necessarily always has to be bad. I don't think companies necessarily always have to be bad. I don't think people necessarily always have to be at each other's throat and in a space of competition. And so when that goes away, are you still going to be rebelling? Like, it's about everyone transitioning. And honestly, if you're looking for your old programming to be affirmed and reaffirmed, it will be. But it's like, I don't know, in my mind, the test wouldn't be that simple. You know, these are just some of the things that I think about. All right, I've already talked about all that. Regardless, it's about leaving the things behind that we need to leave behind and making sure that we're doing it from the right space, right? Also, since they both came up with the Eight of Cups, maybe it was a time. Gosh, if this is my mother, it is. No, I don't want to stick and shake. One second. I forgot what I was about to say. I forgot what I was about to say, but yeah, if this is a test, sometimes we have to think about it more critically. And I don't I don't know. I don't know how long we'll be in this space because it just seems like a lot of people are missing some of the points. And I know I've been talking about the story of Job a lot lately, but it's like in that story, God literally gave the devil authority and permission to go in and F his life up, right? And what he needed to do was keep the faith, right? It wasn't him going out and fighting and trying to keep all of the stuff that he was losing. It wasn't that. And so again, it's like sometimes the light and the dark, they come from the same space for different reasons, different motivations, right? The devil wanted to destroy Job's faith. God wanted to, I don't know what God wanted to do, honestly, because it seemed like he already knew that Job wasn't going to lose his faith. So it's like, why allow this to happen anyway? Girl, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. I don't know, right? I'm not that, I'm not him or her or it. But it's just to go and show that there are some times when these trials and tribulations are allowed to happen to illuminate certain things and to allow certain transformations to take place. So there was a lot of stuff in Job's life that ultimately at the end of the day didn't work out for him, that didn't serve him. And it's almost like when he was going through all of that, all of the ugliness that lied deep within those around him came to the surface, where they would have him give up and curse God and do all kinds of sorts of crazy foolishness that Job was like, why would I do that? No, I know better. Right. And it's like, again, it's like when things are good, when things are great, then it's easy to make those sort of choices. But when it comes down to actual critical thinking, when it comes down to sacrifice, when it comes down to going through tower moments where the answer to the tower isn't always flee or escape or get out of it, where the answer is sometimes to hunker down, bunker down, reassure oneself, brace oneself, and learn and grow through it. Allow it to expand you, almost like a balloon, right? And get bigger instead of shrinking away and giving up and getting smaller. And again, it's like ego comes in many forms and varieties. And I could be wrong. I could be looking at this in a completely wrong way because, again, there seems to be so many spiritual leaders and so many people who are so vehemently against the mask wearing. And I'm like, really? Like, I don't know. In my mind, it's like when they say wear masks, they say it protects other people from you. You could be asymptomatic, right? People don't care. Anyway, again, I should have shut this down a minute ago. Thanks for watching. If you watch this, if you come across this, I hope it brings something to you. I guess next we'll be looking at the sacral, not the sacral, the solar plexus portal to see what that lesser aligned and more aligned, or like 3D, 5D, or however you put it. Take it as it resonates. If there's a piece of it, and that's another thing, it's like sometimes I watch videos, especially lately, and another interesting thing is, I remember I was doing this theory crafting back in whenever Venus went retrograde, because the Leo King was saying that Venus is going to be heading towards, and I was theory crafting with my girl Mimi, And I was like, because the Leo King was like, Venus is going to be heading towards the North Node in Gemini, and then it's going to retrograde. Gemini is the energy of the twins. It's the North Node. It's what we're reaching for. Venus is going to be conjuncting the North Node, maybe early August, because it crosses into um, what's the next one? Leo. Somewhere, I think it's like the 6th or 7th of August. Mercury goes into Leo. The like no, it crosses into Cancer. Venus crosses into Cancer around the 6th or 7th of August. Mercury goes into Leo around the 6th or 7th of August, and apparently goes into Virgo like 2 weeks later. Like Mercury's gonna be shooting through Leo. Um, but yeah, it's like with Venus conjuncting the North Node, also in the Mayan calendar, we're coming into a lunar tone, which is the number two, which kind of sort of also carries that twin energy. It's the blue lunar storm. It was like there were a whole bunch of sort of like twinsy things already lining up. Um, and with the way that time was working, it kind of sort of made sense. And with where we are now, it also kind of sort of makes sense. And so, I don't know, it was just interesting to kind of sort of have all of these thought experiments and then to come into the space where we are now, and especially seeing some people who were not like actively against like twin flames and stuff like that, but now to see some people who are kind of sort of getting more into love readings, or given that at least that aspect a little bit more of a voice on their platform and pulling for it a little bit more often. It seems like things are kind of sort of pushing that way, which again is interesting. um and also we're coming off of this time of sort of like distancing and isolation and all of this other stuff, where it seems like for the most part, I mean, are we still doing it? I don't know. I mean, this was my life before, kind of sort of low-key anyway. My life didn't personally too much change because I'm already a homebody in a house full of homebodies. Now if I was out in the world, maybe the same. But I will be out there sort of exploring and running around and doing all that kind of stuff. And again, answers and solutions and miracles can happen in any number of ways. And so I don't limit my reality in any way. I don't limit time. I know how bad things look right now, but I also know that literally tomorrow someone can come out with a breakthrough. At the speed of thought, the divine can give so many people so many different ways to tackle this, and actual legitimate ways that don't sort of involve more risks. Or the divine could just like do whatever. Literally, so many gateways open. But also, there are things that we need to realize right now and learn. And it's unfortunate that it also comes at a time of like people losing their homes and jobs and lives and so many other things. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I was going somewhere with that. I was just saying it's interesting that I'm seeing more and more people who, again, were kind of sort of against a lot of things in the past coming into it lately. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Because there are some of these like readers that I'll watch, and for half of it, it'll resonate, or it's like I think that resonates because I'm only one side of the situation. I was like, I think that resonates, and then it's like it's supposed to get to my side, and I'm like, I don't feel any of this. Right? This isn't me. Like, I'm not the type of person who would pretend like I want somebody back in my life just to kick them out. I don't play head games or mind games like that. Like, if I don't want somebody in my life, I move on. Right? I don't also like, I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, I'm gonna like pretend like I'm like super happy to make someone jealous or whatever. Like, girl, if I don't like you, I don't have the time, and I'm not gonna give you the mind space. I'm just not. I'm not gonna tailor and curtail or whatever my life around you and try to make you feel some type of way. That's just not me. Like, I don't care that much. Um, and but it's always like, and that's another. That's one reason why I stopped watching somebody like months ago, because she was like, "Oh, you're gonna make them beg, and you're still gonna walk away. You're in this space where blah blah blah, whatever." And I'm like, "Girl, first of all, number one, this isn't me. Second of all, I don't even like entertaining energy like this, because in my mind, like, not to say that it isn't warranted, but that's kind of sort of vicious and cruel and mean and nasty. And we always reap what we sow, regardless of how deserved or whatever might be. because at the end of the day, we're being asked to forgive and to sort of, well, I don't know, move on in a more caring, kind, and compassionate way. And I only say that to say this. Sometimes parts of it will resonate, but it might not resonate as a whole. So the pieces and the parts that resonate, take them. Sometimes there are things that we don't want to resonate, but they do resonate. And again, right? It all works out the way it's going to work out eventually in the end, regardless, is another thing I want to say. So if you got to take it in pieces and parts, take it in pieces and parts. If it's not completely your story, don't force things or parts of this to fit that aren't for you. Um, and yeah, that's that. Okay. All right. Bye. I'll catch y'all later. Maybe coming back with the solar. Who knows? I wanted to do that weekly release. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow morning. We'll see. Or I'll wait until the. Yeah, I could do it tomorrow because tomorrow's the 25th, and then we have the New Year on the 26th. So yeah, I think I will. I'll do the weekly release tomorrow. Bye.